Don't be nervous. We got this. Just doing an interview.
So this is Sam, who's currently doing a master's at Salford, aren't you?
That's right.
You previously did undergraduate, I understand.
That's right.
And I'll be interviewing you about business, personal life, and all things that come to mind. So, and it's nice to see you.
Should be excited.
It's good. It's good. So, well, I reckon we start off just. How have you found your journey at University of Salford so far?
Great so far. I would say Salford is now home, and it's interesting that I said that to someone, and now I see welcome home everywhere. So Salford is home. My journey to Salford has been exciting. I have had, let's say, even in the UK in general, it's been an exciting and also a sad, but also eye-opening and epiphany one. So, yeah, it's been a great journey, but we're still on it, and hopefully we still do great things being here.
And I understand you've been all over the world in your life, and so if you could start me from the beginning, really. I understand that you grew up in Nigeria,
That's right.
and then you moved to America, and then to England. Yeah, how was that? The transitions between the different cultures, the different ways of life.
So just a background of my story. I was born in Nigeria, and I was born in the north, but I'm from the south. My young age was visioned. I visioned, insurgents. War. My dad lost one of his eyes, one of those things, and at the age of 14, my dad decided to pick me up and take me to America with the help of the oil company. And moving to America was a different scene entirely. It was different. It was like, wow, everything's so developed here and everything's so new, and people were so enthusiastic, which eventually kind of helped my enthusiasm come to what it is. And then when I turned 19, my dad thought I was being too crazy in America and decided to bring me to England. And England was a whole new ballgame entirely. I thought England and America would be like the same view, but no, it was absolutely a new scene being here in England. But through all this journey, there's been a very great understanding of culture and development. So if you look at Africa in general and Nigeria in particular, they have a different culture to the way America has a different culture and the way England has a different culture, and it's probably even the reason we're seeing a lot of conflict now, because a lot of people, because there's this sort of data transparency, but we still living in our traditional ways that we can't understand how to work with each other with the transparency. It's kind of interesting, yeah.
And also, so you moved to England when you were 20, right? And you said your dad was you were too crazy in America. What do you mean by that?
Well, I would say I was young. So I guess all of us live this young life where we're trying to explore what it is to be in the club, or to have some new friends, or to do some things that you never did before. So I was engaging in all those things. Engaging with the bad crowd. Even though I was still studying in Glendale Community College, I was hanging out with people that I didn't know. I had my own apartment at 16, stroke 17, and I didn't know how to do that. Nobody taught me how to live on my own. I moved from Africa. I was this African kid, but I think I went too far in a way that I was kind of not calling my parents anymore. I was kind of just like living my life in America and just like going off on a interesting sort of rampage, but exploring the possibility of being young. And I think because I have a very traditional cultural family that's very religious in a Christianity way, they were very impressed with that. So my dad is like, no, we're bringing you closer to us. But I guess England is close to Africa relatively. And so my dad decided we'll bring you here and you'll be closer to us. So if you do something really bad, we'll come and pick you up, something like that. But yeah, I think that's what it is. But it still didn't stop me from exploring being young and understanding what it means to be young. But I guess I'm growing now, and from my life as being young, I'm very enthusiastic to inspire more young people to understand what it means growing up.
And when did you start studying business and economics as undergraduate?
2015, I had a massive epiphany, and I knew that the economy of the world after the financial crisis was not totally explained to us after the financial crisis. And after the World War II and a lot of things have happened in the world, economics needed a reform. So I wanted to go learn about it. I just knew it, and I wanted to learn about it and see, like, okay, so what is going wrong with this? Why is there still poverty in the world? And why is it that even though we're so developed and we have like computers and stuff, we're still not solved the problem of how to distribute our wealth within ourselves in the right way and transparently, that everybody can have something. And yeah, it started in 2015. And graduated in 2018. Whew.
So yeah, so then you've carried on and doing your masters now. And
Yes.
what's your masters in?
So I do digital business now and entrepreneurship. Reason based on the fact that after doing economics, I discovered that the reason the economy is not changed because it's still traditional. And I thought to myself, because I did my course in economics and business, I thought if I've done business, then I can do digital business and understand what it means to digitalize business, and maybe use that to incorporate the vision that I have for a digital economy.
And you set up your charity, Eco Africa, and I understand you've got one more as well.
That's right.
If you could tell me a bit about that, when you set it up, why you wanted to, it just sounds like a very interesting cause.
Yeah. So my final year of doing economics and business, I had this project I had to do, which is ABRA, Applied Business Research Analysis. I thought it was the beginning of researching really what I want to look in the world, or the knowledge I want to pass down into the world. So I wrote my thesis about young people's innovation in Africa's economic development. And that was the reason I started my company, which I started my first company in 2015, IFA, and IFA stood for Innovation for Africa. And the purpose of creating that company was to reduce the limitation of young people's innovation in Africa. And not only African people, but young people in general, young people from everywhere around the world. So, for instance, I looked at England, I looked at America, I looked at a lot of developed countries. The young people there are already looking at a developed country. So if you wanted to put in action of young people, because young people are always innovating, they always look for a problem and try to solve this, find a solution to the problem. But it looks like their country doesn't have a lot of problems. So I was wondering how I could get young people to start innovating or developing places that are not developed. Like places like Africa, places like India. How do we get them there? And things were happening like that. So there was charities that were taking young people on trips to Africa to do 6 weeks. Like I'm sure you told me you went to Tanzania. I don't know if that's what you went there for. It might be a holiday, but some people do go on a charity trip and help some young children over there do some 6-week camping. I've met a lot of people in England that've done that, and even in America. But I was like, how do I stop the limitation that gets them to actually go and live there for like 6 months or 1 year, and just live there like I would come and live in England,
Gain the
and
experience.
gain the experience. Okay, and I started IFA, and I was pitching IFA to many people I met. I went to the Ethical Finance Forum in October, all sponsored by University of Salford. And I met people from the UN. I met people from the Red Cross. I was telling them that I started this initiative called Innovation for Africa, and all I want to do is reduce the limitation of young people and get innovation from the Western world, which they're more advanced in knowledge or more advanced in technology, to take that to Africa. So I pitched this to Salford University in 2016 through the Santander and the Enterprise Make a Difference Award. And my concept where I was pitching to them through my business plan was that, okay, I wanted to create a recruitment company that got students from here to Africa. Before I did that, I was in the library one day and I did a survey. I got about 300 students to fill out a survey saying, would you consider going working in Africa? A lot of them said yes. I would say about 93% of them said yes. And I asked them, if you said yes, why would you do this? A lot of people were like, I want to help. A lot of people were like, I want to gain the experience. A lot of people like, I want to know what's there. And I was like, why are you not able to do it? And the limitation I was getting was like, I don't know what's there. I don't know how to get there. I don't have a structure of getting there. I don't know how to be part of this. And this, I pitched this to the university and said to them, okay, I want to start this recruitment company that gets students to go work in Africa and also get African people to come over here, so there's like an interrelationship of recruitment. But I think when you have a grand vision, it was very, very hard for them to understand. So it was like, Sam, go and refine this properly and come back to us. So I looked at the market that I was going into, and it looks like the market was massive, and things like Unilever and all these other companies were already in Africa, recruiting people in a very different way, maybe through expatriates or experts, or and they weren't really utilizing the young people with real enthusiasm or innovation. And that's what brought me to conceptualize Eco Africa. And now it's now, because of inclusiveness and diversity, I've moved on to Eco Africa, Eco World. And ECO stands for the contextualizing of what we wanted to do was actually how do we reduce it down into a structure that people can actually see themselves in. So the ECO stands for environments, community, and organization, and we focused on places and people. So like I said, it was the interrelation and how do we contextualize it. So we decided to contextualize places and then contextualize people. And so if ECO was to, the whole purpose of it is just to connect and empower people to collaborate and solve some of the biggest problems in the world. Things like the UN SDG, if you don't know that, it's something I think everybody should look into. In 2015, the world leaders came together and formed 17 goals that's to develop the world for sustainability. And so we wanted to solve some of the biggest problems using things like the UN SDG, but at the same time create a sustainable and transparent ecosystem. And so we allowed students in the university, because we wanted to start it all around the world, but it's kind of hard to start a vision like that. So we started in Salford University as a student society. And as a student society, what we do is that we allow students to join the platform or the society as ambassadors. So they could be ambassadors for the environment, or ambassadors for the community, or ambassadors for an organization. And what they do is that they create challenges in relation to the UN SDGs, in relation to leaders that are already in the community or leaders in organization. And they also create challenges in relation to partners. So it could be partners with the university or partners with community group around Salford or around the world, locally or globally. And in creating these challenges, they can actually use their skills, gain experience while they're solving some of the biggest problems. So we've had events on. We had a panel where we invited the international officers to. We talked about how do we innovate in Africa, what is limiting us from innovating in Africa. After that, we this year we started projects. We started our first project, which is converting, recycling some materials, which was given to us by the Manchester African Business Network and the Gorilla Initiative, and we recycled them, and we had a fashion show which is coming up tomorrow actually, and the fashion show is to sell those products and also raise some money and actually help gorillas through the Gorilla Charity in Africa, and that kind of supports the UN SDG number 15, which is life on land. And so this is the concept of Eco Africa. We actually also started with the vision of Eco Africa that we wanted to create a digital economy through this. And so the digital economy was to, like I said, solve big problems through the tiers of like people joining the platform as ambassadors or leaders or partners. but at the same time having ecos of different places where we collect problems, we create challenges, create projects, and we also collect project tasks from organizations around those areas to solve environmental, community, and organizational problem using a digital platform of big data, blockchain, AI, technology, and all of this. And right now we're still working on it and hopefully launch before the end of this year.
What do you think is the best way to alert the younger generation of these problems so we can sustain the world as they get older for future years?
One thing that I've discovered is that people are not understanding or in my opinion, not understanding the what we see as problems, because seeing problems is through our eyes, but we think that it's through the camera. So when we watch the news, we think, oh, that's the problem. Or when we see...
it's refined, isn't it?
Yeah, so we see the news, we see it on our social media, and we think that's the problem. So this platform we're creating now, contextualize problem in the way that if you see a problem, you can report it immediately, you see it on our platform. And that's the big data collection that we're trying to do. So you see a problem, but then you can go on our platform and click on, oh, this is an environmental problem. I saw like a whole pile of trash somewhere, and it's an environmental problem. So I click environment to the platform, I take a picture, I write about it, and I put the street number where it is, and I leave it out to the platform for people to collaborate with me to solve this problem. So it's either leaders partner with me to solve the problem by maybe giving us some equipment to go pick up the trash, or connecting us to the waste people that can come and pick it up, or we do it ourselves as ambassadors and come together and actually go and solve that problem and clear that place out. And it comes down to the point of like in economics, you have 4 parts of the economy, and you have the land, the labor, the capital, and the enterprise, which is an education added to. So I'll put that as the 5th. And the way that I feel like we can influence young people is to get them to start learning to develop. So not teaching them how to do, but teaching them what to do. So because we keep teaching them how to do things. Oh, so this is economics. This is how economics
You want
is.
to walk the walk, not talk the talk. Yeah.
There you go. So how do we get them to teach them what to do than how to do it? And I think the best way of teaching them is to use the social media that they've so become accustomed to, but letting them start to think creatively about how to use a big data or technology to solve their local and global problem by connecting themselves and empowering themselves with that device to then collaborate with you to solve the problem. So if I message you now to do something, I'm actually already empowering you and connecting with you to collaborate and work on something, for instance, what we're doing here today. So it's that sort of thing that can empower ourselves, and we look into the future that we would be able to start putting capital into it to distribute wealth between ourselves. So, like I said, in economy, you have land, labor, capital, enterprise, and education. So at the moment, what we're building, we're focused on education and labor, to merge them together, to get students from working in the way of how to do it, to what to do to solve the problem. Like instead of this is how to do it, you take them to what to do to solve the problem, and that's what we're trying to move them towards because a new generation is coming, a new future is coming, a new economy is coming, and we need to be ready for it.
There's a lot of talk about people affecting the carbon footprint, and saying that we've all made a massive carbon footprint, and it's not good. And it's to do with diets, it's to do with air travel, car travel, all sorts, and distributing goods around the world. What's your opinion on that? Because I know that you love to, your aim is to make the world a better place economically.
That's right.
And also health-wise. And so what do you think about that? So the veganism, the kind of taking away the amount of air travel and maybe using electric cars instead. What's your view on this?
So in all of this, it's a very massive issue. Climate change, very big issue. Very, very worried about that. I remember growing up in Africa, and I used to see piles. It used to be like a rock of trash everywhere. And it's come now, they've realized that we would destroy the world in the next few years if we don't start to solve this problem now. But the basis of every problem when it comes to environmental problem, or the way that we even consume goods, is a base of the economy, because the economy filters the money into the organizations through government spending or through exchange rate or inflation and all this kind of stuff. So if they put a price to something, you rather buy this than actually buy this. And this is the concept of eco, that eco then brings a transparent relationship between the organizations where profits are made from, or how our products are made, to the community that needs them, and to then the environment. So it's creating a interrelationship between our resources that we get from the environment and how we use it, to the way the community relates with themselves to solve to benefit each other, to how organizations actually take those resources, feed it to the community, and actually distribute it around the world. So this is the whole concept of eco, that I'm very passionate about, the fact that we actually find a balance or find the correct measurements using big data, or using the things that we have now to measure every location of the world.
What do you mean by big data?
So big data is actually it's a concept in technology where you collect a lot of data and you can analyze them to produce algorithms or produce the way that people relate with itself. So big data is like Facebook has over 3 billion people on it. That's a lot of data. So you see
country.
Yeah, so it's like they've collected all these data, and for instance, they've actually sold that data sold out data to Cambridge Analytical and all this kind of stuff, which I'm not going to go into. But how do we give the data back to the people? How do we give the data back to the place that it's meant for? So I'm sure Brexit is actually focused on that kind of stuff now, but how do we give the data back to the location? How do we give the data back to the people is what I'm passionate about, because then if we can do that, then we can actually measure correctly what a person is consuming from their environments, what they're consuming from their relation with the community, and what they're consuming based on their relationship with organizations around their location. So I'm very, very particular about we creating a transparent system that showcases how we solve problems, how we create, and how we even consume or produce.
And I understand that you ran for the president of the student union in your last year, or as your undergraduate. What led you to do that? What inspired you? Has that got a link to wanting to kind of expose your company, and also kind of be able to have a few more links? And yeah, what was your main aspiration?
In that aspect, I had a motive personally to become a new type of leader, especially as a diverse person from the Black minority ethics community. I wanted to showcase something of how really me and the people that we kind of seem to have a clash or a tension with things like racism and all that kind of stuff. I wanted to create a new way of how we do it. I wanted to do internally. I wanted to showcase to BME students and Asian students of how we can relate with different, and not have this sort of like, I'm doing it because I'm Black, but I wanted to do it because internally, because we needed to showcase a new type of leader in the world when it comes to young people. Obama did it as the old people. We need one young person to do something. So I wanted to do something like that. But at the same time, I was very, very worried or concerned while I was going through university that students were not, their degree was not developing themselves to develop their local and global place. Again, it would, like I said, it would be tied down to what I am actually, my vision is, that we're being taught how, but not what to do.
Do you think these economical problems should be taught in schools from a younger age?
Yes. I think we should be teaching students the economic problem, but at the same time telling them, as soon as you're in university, you're in university to start contributing knowledge to a local or global environment.
Okay.
So I think that we should be told when you're in university the problems that are happening in that local vicinity, but at the same time told the global one, and tying it down to your assignment, tying it down to your work you're doing in university, because then it is more exciting. If I know that I'm doing an essay now, and my essay was relating to a problem in Salford or a problem in Nigeria, instantly I'm now like, oh wow, I want to know what is happening in
Yeah.
Salford. I want to know what is happening, and then I want to know how to do it.
You're more ready to go about it.
Yeah, so because so instead of teaching us how to do it first before what it is, you teach us what it is first before then how it is. And so that's why we're contextualizing different locations to say, okay, this is what it is, this is how. So we're working with universities, we're speaking to them, but it's a traditional way, so it's kind of like hard to get them to understand what we're trying to say here. But going back to your question, that's the reason I ran for president, to inspire students, to empower them to develop themselves for the development of a local and global place. Not looking at the fact that you need to come out of university with a first-class degree, because if I asked a lot of students like today now, do you use your degree to do anything? They're like, no, I still work at Selfridges, and my degree, I just have it because they said we need to have a degree so you're looking cooler. And it's like, did you go to university? I did. I studied a degree, and you're looking cooler instead of solving a problem. And it's like, we're wasting degrees, we're wasting money, we're wasting resources. The UK has a problem with loans now that they've given to a lot of students. And all these things are happening now because we're not putting a transparent system of how we related ourselves now that we've actually had social media and digitalization in the last 10 years.
Yeah.
And so that was why I ran for president, and I think I'll be running again this year.
And you talked about your masters. What would you say to someone who's doing an undergraduate at the moment, like about what a master's does for you? Why should you do one, or why did you want to do a master's? Because I think a lot of people, less people are doing it. It keeps changing, but it used to be if you had a master's, then you'd go a bit further. But a lot of people just want to get on and go into work straight away. What would you say about that? What would you say to someone who's thinking about it and not sure what to do?
In my opinion, I would say it goes two ways. One way is that continue learning, always keep learning, but learn while you lead. So if you're going to do a master's, do it because you're learning, because you're leading. You're leading something and you want to learn that master's now to be the master of that. In another sense, I would say no knowledge is wasted. Every time you're exposed to something new, there could always be a spark in your mind about something. So it would come. I've just got into my inspiration hat there, and I would say to young people, doing a master's is not a problem. Learning is not a problem. The reason why we're very, very worried about it is because of the cost they put with learning. It's because of the things that the restrictions they put with learning, the legality they put with learning, and it limits a lot of people locally, globally, on how to learn things and how to share their knowledge, which is one thing that we're very passionate about sharing innovation. If you know how to do something, how do you share with another person in another location? If you know how to solve an environmental problem in India, how do you take that environmental problem that you're solving in India to England? How do you take it to Nigeria? How do you take it to South Africa? How do you take it to Africa? How do you move a community solution that you're doing in social enterprise in Salford, great social enterprises? How do you take that from there and take it to Nigeria so that people are solving their social problem? How do you take an environmental problem where they're moving away from profits into people now and the environment and protecting and not looking into profit anymore? How do you take that sort of innovation now to another place that needs it? And that's the whole concept of sharing that I'm really. So I would say learn always, no matter what, learn. But in the fact that is happening, I think it's happening because we are not really, again, in my opinion, expressing what the real problem is and getting people to now start leading while they're learning. So there's no learning leadership going on. So we're not leading based on we're not learning based on leadership. We're learning based on this is how it's done, or this is how you have to be, or this is a status quo in society that if you have a degree or if you have a master's degree, you move further, just like you said anyway. Yeah.
You're obviously very driven in everything you do, and so once you finish your masters, are you going to want to expand your company even further straight away, or do you like to settle down? What are your thoughts for that in the future? Have you got a girlfriend at the moment? Are you in a relationship?
No, I'm not in a relationship. I don't know. That's a very, very deep question to my heart, because I think I've been going through a mental mental situation with that one, in relation to a past experience that's happened to me. So I'm kind of like very skeptical about my relationship like with ladies. But I want to empower women so much that I'm actually very very careful about the way I'm gonna have my next girlfriend or something like that. But moving forward, my master's is something that I'm doing it just to continue learning, but I'm really focused on my company right now. What we're doing is that we're trying to finish this platform, so we're trying to get as much people there that have the skill for artificial intelligence, have the skill for machine learning or big data and all this stuff. Try to connect to companies that do that and try to raise the money. Again, we're trying to raise $500,000 right now that would help us build this platform or get the right people on board. Try to connect to co-working spaces, so we have a new co-working space initiative that we want to do with a lot of co-working spaces to enhance the way students and change the way students get jobs. We want to be able to give jobs to students from their first year in an hour. That's my vision before the end of this year. That students be able to get jobs in an hour and do tasks in different organizations, involving themselves in the development of a local and global place. So I'm going to be focused on that. So moving forward, I will be running for president of the student union again this year, just because I want to actually influence that change, but at the same time make some connections and understand some things better through the experience of leadership.
And I hope you don't mind me asking you, I understand that you have a son, don't you?
That's right.
And would you mind talking to me about that? If you don't want to, then that's absolutely fine. But if it's difficult,
but that's deep. We went from my enthusiasm of like wanting to do all these things for young people to
because when you talk about young people, it's obviously it's close to your heart. And I was thinking, well, you want to inspire generally everyone.
That's right.
But also it's
I came into the country 2011, and I had I was just one of those young people that was having those promiscuous time where you go into the club and you have one night stands and stuff like that. But I'm not going to go into the story, but I do have a young boy that I'm, and I'm just really passionate about my child growing up with understanding, seeing a new type of world, a world where things are equitable, things are fair, justice is correct, fairness exists, discrimination does not occur because of you're black or you're white. Diversity is really being used, and there's equality in the world. Peace and justice exist. I want him to see that world. I didn't have a son before, but maybe my son is one of the things that influences me and pushes me now to do what I want to do.
Inspires you to reach out to different generations.
That's right. Yes.
And you can have, and I think one of the best things nowadays is have intergenerational communication, really.
That's right.
Because I think a big problem is that the teenagers they're not talking to the middle-aged people unless they're their parents.
True.
So.
But how do you? I think that there is no structure of speaking to those people. And again, I'll go back into my company about having tiers for you're either an ambassador, you're a leader, or you're a partner. I think when you become a parent, you become a leader, because you're now even leading a family. You're leading people connected to you in a different way. But if we don't put them in tiers and contextualize them, we don't know how to find them. So I wouldn't speak to another old person now if they're not my parents, because I don't know how to contextualize them. Are they a leader, or how do I contextualize them? So things like mentorship now is helping those kind of things, which is great. But there's a legality problem that's happening with fathers and their son, and the United Kingdom with a lot of there's a lot of things around things, and which has caused me not to, or maybe because of my past life and the way I used to live, has caused me not to be in the life of my son now for the past 2 years, which is really really sad. I'm just gonna say that out there, because it really is very difficult, and I'm really really sad. I just want to be there for him, and also be able to do what I'm doing at the moment, and not feel like um, um, I don't want to let it be that my past defined my relationship and his development as a young person growing up, and I want to be able to even tell him about that and tell him like, um, you know, and inspire him to also be the change that he wants to see in the world, and inspire him to be fair, to inspire equality, to develop, to be educated, to learn, and learn why you lead, learn why you create. Because if you you know if you want to see the future that you want to see, you got to start it by creating. I think this was said by Abraham Lincoln. So it'd be great to see him.
So do you think you'll be getting in touch with him when you can, when you've got your time to do that, and when you're able to?
Well, I think I've tried the best way I can with legality and with the resources that are available in the United Kingdom right now, and it's proved hard to do. So I guess when I have the resources and the when it comes to, like, when I say resources now, maybe the funds and the other things to do it, then I'll pursue it harder to be able to be there as part of his life. And I'm gonna reach out to women around the world and be like, if you have a child, try as much as possible to, no matter what, let the father be part of his life.
Yeah, I think that's really important.
And don't base it on finance. Don't base it on money. Just base it on the fact that there is
love.
That's right.
Yeah.
Base it on the fact that there is another human being that you have brought into this world
Yeah.
that needs the support of everybody else that's already here. And just because I'm a father doesn't mean that I'm not a father to all.
No.
And I'm just a father to that one little kid. It just means that he feels the love from somebody who was part of his bringing him into the world. That's
Yeah.
it. That's it.
Are you? Is he in the UK?
Yes, he is.
Okay, so that's good. He's not too far. Yeah.
But
Oh, well, that's yeah.
That's a very, very sad one. Every time I talk about that, I go into this whole scene of sadness, of like, there's a joy in, being able to receive the love from everybody that you that's in your love circle. And trust me, I'm a massive lover. I love a lot. So I just want to be there for my sons. Yeah.
Good. That's very inspirational. I really rate that. Well, I think we've covered quite a lot. Is there anything you think I should ask you about? What are you thinking that you could?
Well, I want to say that I really wanted to do this today, to express who I really am as a person, and say my story from that person that grew up in Africa. I was born in Nigeria in insurgents, and the insurgents was created based on religious war of Christians and Muslims, and then moving from there to a country like America and seeing a lot of diversity happening, and still there was still racial tensions and all of that, and not even paying attention to it. But then at the game time, moving again from that to England and seeing a different type of thing as well, and seeing a little bit of all the other tensions happening and the change that was going on. And then moving from a person that involved himself in a lot of things, both good and bad, to deciding at one moment to be an ethical leader. And being an ethical leader comes with it's come with a lot of pain, because I think not a lot of people in the world are very ethical leaders. Everybody's all about the profit. I want to make money, but literally the resources belongs to all of us, guys. So if we share it right,
we're all able to make our change.
We'll be okay. And not just wanting to have the big mansion and the penthouse. Even though that's good, we can all have Pence Mansion. If we all built Pence Mansion for ourselves, we'll all have it. But I did this just to be able to express myself that I I have become this ethical leader that is going through a lot of pain because I've done that, in
Yeah.
which I could have been doing things through cutting corners like lawyers will always do and cut things different
Yeah,
ways
yeah.
just to make sure it happened. But no, I stay ethical because I actually want to inspire and empower and develop young people to not be limited by the limitation of this is how the world
Yeah,
is.
yeah.
This is how society is, Sam. We can't do anything about it. No, we can't. It's our time to do that now. And at the same time, start to see that if you're ethical, you can then move into the social way of inspiring more ethical people,
Yeah.
and then we can create a sustainable world where things are sustained. Our environment is protected because you're now ethical and doing things because it's good, and then you and your friends are doing it because it's good, and then we can then protect the community and work together with each other to create more fairness, equality, diversity, and all this kind of stuff, and then influence the organizations that you work in, or wherever you get in a job, or wherever you're going to work in, or whatever you create as an entrepreneur or innovator or inventor. You create something that actually provides that ethical, social, and sustainable way of protecting this planet that we live on until God comes. Yeah.
Yeah. And you say you want to express your story. Who do you want to express your story specifically to?
I want whoever is watching this or whoever is listening to this, whoever you are, to just understand who I am. And you're welcome to speak to me or ask me any questions and collaborate
Around campus and that.
yeah. So to Salford University, to the world in general.
Yeah.
To the world in general. I'm very, very passionate about Africa's economy development.
Yeah.
Oh,
I didn't realise.
that was a good sarcasm. Still catching that?
You're still learning.
True talk. True. That was good. That was good. That was good. Oh God! Every time when the sarcasm catches me, I just go off.
You're like, how dare you say that?
How dare you? Oh Lord, it kills me. Sarcasm is kind of a beautiful thing, but at the same time, it's like, what the hell is that? But yeah, I want from where I am right now,
Yeah.
my home, where I live right now in Salford, to the wild end of the world down
Yeah.
in Australia,
No matter where it is.
where it is. I want all of us to start to think that we should start to do things ethically, and we should start to work with it ourselves socially to solve problems, and we start to think about a world that's sustainable for
Of course.
generations and generations to come.
And you're an approachable guy, so you're always around campus, aren't you?
That's right.
If people want to chat to you, I know that you're more than happy to speak, and like you are today. And I'm glad you gave me the opportunity to ask you all these questions.
No problem, man.
It's a very interesting story. I think a lot of people don't have quite the range that you've got, and I think it's really inspiring. It really is.
Thank you.
If there's anything I've missed out in questioning you, I hope I've covered most. And
You have done great, Jamie, and you just go out there and smash it and become a journalist. There's different to all the other journalists, and maybe find more people like myself too, and also get them to do this, and hopefully I'll be getting you to also do some more with some more ethical people that are on my team. Right now I've got a team in Salford University that's working on stuff. Just even to move forward, if you're looking for us on any of the social media, we're the New Echo people. We're planning a summit for the 27th of March, which will be all about inspiration and empowerment and development, and we want to bring in organizations that are focused not on profit but on people.
Yeah.
And we want to bring in organizations that are inspiring people to do positive things, and we want to bring organizations that are empowering people to do positive things. And we have talks, panel, workshops, and fingers crossed that we can be able to launch a platform then. But if we can't launch a platform then, we'll be launching in summer or in the beginning of the session for September 2019.
Brilliant. And we've got these events coming up, haven't we? And there's one tomorrow night, the fashion show, which I'll be attending, and I'm very looking forward to it. And so there should be some more events, and maybe you could get some sports going as well in the future, and
Hopefully, fingers
just
crossed.
get the community involved.
get everybody involved.
Yeah.
Let's all do it. Let's all do it. My hashtag everywhere is now let's do it.
Let's
If you
do
see
it.
if you see hashtag let's do it anywhere,
Yeah.
you know it's Sam.
Not to take Nike's tagline.
But Nike's like just do it. It's like you must do it.
Yeah.
Just do it. It's like come on, man. Like let's do it.
Let's do it. Yeah.
Let's do it. I think it's a better.
It's more
better-
inclusive.
It's more. Thank you. You can
Yeah.
see the whole point
Yeah.
now. Nike's like always supporting
know.
all these big stars, and they're always branding themselves through big
Yeah.
stars. It's like just do it. Sign
It's
with
the
us.
problem, isn't it?
So let's make Nike more inclusive. Yeah, maybe I can convince them to change
Yeah.
their name from Just Do It to Let's Do It. Who knows?
This is not a sponsored video.
No, it's not. No. This is the expression of true self. But but I just thought I'd put that one in there. But you know, I'm excited about the future.
Yeah.
I'm excited that we can do this. And so I'll say let's do it. You know, you can always, you know, reach me again. Like I said, however you know,
Yeah.
social media, you can find me anywhere. I'm
Appreciate it.
Samuel Obeghe. Just message
Oh.
me. I'm always very, very open to collaboration, and collaboration for positivity, not collaboration where we're not doing something positive. So
Mhm.
as long as you're doing something for the environment, you're doing something for the community, or you're running an organization that's for people, not for profit, get in touch.
Brilliant. Well, it's lovely to talk to you, and
Thank you, Jamie.
wish you all the best.
Thank you so much.
Cheers.
Thank you.